The moment a punch lands clean with perfect timing and precision, everything changes in an instant. 1 second, the fight is unfolding as expected, the rhythm, the movement, the calculated exchanges. The next, a single devastating shot rewrites history. The crowd erupts, the fallen fighter crumbles to the canvas, and in that split second, a legend is either born or cemented. One-punch knockouts are boxing's purest expression of power, skill, and the unpredictable nature of the sport. They remind us that no matter how a fight is going, everything can end in the blink of an eye. Some knockouts are brutal, leaving opponents sprawled unconscious before they even realize what happened. Others are beautiful in their execution, a flawless blend of timing and technique that makes them unforgettable. And then there are the ones that carry the weight of history, moments where careers are defined, titles change hands, and the sport itself seems to stand still as the world takes in what just happened. These knockouts don't just win fights. They create moments that are talked about for generations. Take Sugar Ray Robinson's left hook against Gene Fullmer in 1957. Fullmer was known for his durability, a fighter who could take a punch and keep moving forward. But when Robinson saw his opening, he unleashed a left hook so precise and powerful that Fullmer never saw it coming. The punch landed clean, dropping Fullmer instantly, and just like that, Robinson reclaimed the middleweight title. It wasn't just a knockout, it was a masterpiece, a punch thrown with such precision that it's still studied today. Then there's Julian Jackson, a man whose power was the stuff of nightmares. In 1990, he stepped into the ring against Harold Graham, a slick, elusive fighter who was outboxing him with ease. Jackson was behind on the scorecards, his eyes swelling shut, and it seemed like his chance was slipping away. But power is the ultimate equalizer. In the 4th round, Jackson uncorked a right hand so devastating that Graham was out cold before he hit the canvas. One punch, and the entire fight was over. Moments like these remind us why boxing is so unpredictable, why no lead is ever truly safe. And who could forget George Foreman's legendary knockout of Michael Moorer in 1994? Foreman, a man once feared for his raw power, was 45 years old, considered past his prime. Moorer, young and fast, was outboxing him with ease, winning round after round. But Foreman had patience, and more importantly, he had the power that had made him a champion decades earlier. In the 10th round, he found his opening, a perfectly placed right hand that sent Moorer crashing to the canvas. It was more than just a knockout. It was a statement. Foreman had done the impossible, becoming the oldest heavyweight champion in history with a single, thunderous punch. And then there's the knockout that sent shockwaves through the boxing world, Manny Pacquiao's left hand against Ricky Hatton in 2009. The fight had barely begun, but from the opening bell, Pacquiao's speed and precision were on full display. Hatton, known for his aggressive style, walked right into the perfect shot. Pacquiao's left hook landed flush, and in an instant, Hatton was out before he even hit the mat. It was a knockout that defined an era, solidifying Pacquiao's place among the sport's all-time greats. These moments are why boxing remains one of the most unpredictable and thrilling sports in the world. Every fight, no matter how one-sided it seems, carries the possibility of a sudden, game-changing punch. It's why fans hold their breath with every exchange, why fighters are never truly safe until the final bell rings. Because in this sport, all it takes is one perfect shot, one moment where timing, power, and opportunity collide to create history. And some knockouts, no matter how many years pass, will never be forgotten. Boxing has always been more than just a sport. It's a test of will, a battle of instincts, a stage where legends are made in the most unforgiving way. Beneath the bright lights and roaring crowds, every fighter steps into the ring, knowing that at any moment, one punch could change everything. The stories of these knockouts aren't just about raw power or skill. They're about the unseen moments leading up to them, the training, the doubts, the sacrifices, and the risks that define a fighter's journey. For Sugar Ray Robinson, that left hook against Gene Fullmer wasn't just another highlight in an already legendary career. It was redemption. He had lost to Fullmer in their previous fight, struggling against a younger, stronger opponent who smothered him with relentless pressure. Robinson wasn't the same fighter he had been in his prime, but he was still one of the smartest to ever step into the ring. He studied Fullmer, waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect shot. When the opportunity came, he didn't miss. That single left hook wasn't just a knockout. It was a reminder that even when the odds were against him, Robinson still had the brilliance to turn a fight with one perfect strike. Julian Jackson's knockout of Harold Graham, on the other hand, was a lesson in the terrifying unpredictability of power. Jackson was known as one of the hardest punchers in boxing history, a man who didn't need many chances to end a fight. But against Graham, he was struggling. Graham was fast, elusive, making Jackson miss and picking him apart. The ringside doctors had already warned that if Jackson's eye got any worse, they'd stop the fight. He had seconds, maybe a minute, to do something before it was too late. And then it happened. Graham made one mistake, one brief moment of overconfidence, and Jackson unleashed a right hand that could have knocked out anyone in the world. In an instant, the fight was over. The power Jackson carried in his hands was something few could understand. He wasn't just a puncher. He was a reminder that no fight is truly over until the final bell. George Foreman's knockout of Michael Moore wasn't just about power. It was about patience, about the long road back to the top. Years earlier, Foreman had been a young, unstoppable force, feared for his ability to demolish opponents. But after losing to Muhammad Ali in the famous Rumble in the Jungle, he had walked away from the sport, disappearing from the spotlight. When he returned, older and slower, many saw him as a relic of the past. Moore certainly did. For nearly 10 rounds, he dominated, making Foreman look every bit his age. But Foreman wasn't chasing points, he was waiting for his moment. When it came, he made it count. The right hand that knocked Moore out wasn't thrown with desperation or wild aggression. It was calculated, measured, the product of years of experience. When the referee waved it off, Foreman didn't roar in celebration. He simply knelt in his corner, a man who had just rewritten history with a single punch. Manny Pacquiao's knockout of Ricky Hatton carried a different kind of weight. Pacquiao wasn't just fighting for victory. He was fighting to prove that he belonged among the all-time greats. Hatton was tough, relentless, the kind of fighter who thrived on breaking opponents down with pressure. But Pacquiao had speed like no one else, and when he landed his left hand in the second round, the fight was over before Hatton even knew what hit him. The knockout wasn't just brutal, it was clinical, the kind of punch that leaves no room for debate. As Hatton lay motionless on the canvas, Pacquiao stood in his corner, expressionless. He had done what he always did, stepped into the ring, found his opening, and delivered a shot so perfect it left no doubt. But behind every knockout, there's more than just the moment itself. There's the preparation, the psychology, the weight of everything a fighter carries with them into the ring. Some knockouts come from desperation, when a fighter knows they're losing and have no choice but to take their last shot. Others are the result of strategy, planned and executed with ruthless precision. And then there are those that happen in an instant, without warning, as if fate itself had decided the outcome before anyone else saw it coming. Each of these moments tells a story, but they also leave questions behind. What happens to a fighter after a knockout like this? For the one who lands the punch, it's a moment of glory, a highlight that will live on forever. But for the one who falls, the road back is never easy. Some recover, rebuild, and return stronger than ever. Others are never the same again, haunted by the memory of that one night when everything slipped away. And then there's the question every fighter asks themselves when their moment comes, when they step into the ring knowing that one punch could change their life forever. Will they be the one who lands it? Or will they be the one who never sees it coming? Boxing is often seen as a sport of skill, but at its core, it's a game of risk. Every fighter who steps into the ring is gambling with more than just their record. They're wagering their legacy, their pride, and sometimes even a piece of themselves that they may never get back. For those who land the perfect punch, the reward is instant. Their name forever linked to that one unforgettable moment. But for the fighters on the other end of those knockouts, the consequences can stretch far beyond a single night. A loss like that isn't just physical. It gets into the mind, into the space where confidence and doubt fight for control. And once a fighter questions themselves, even for a second, the ring becomes a far more dangerous place. Some fighters have come back stronger, using a devastating knockout loss as fuel to reinvent themselves. But others have never been the same, their once unshakable will broken in a way no training camp can fix. Ricky Hatton, after his knockout loss to Manny Pacquiao, disappeared from the sport for years, battling demons far worse than any opponent he had ever faced in the ring. Even Gene Fullmer, known for his toughness, admitted that the punch from Sugar Ray Robinson haunted him long after the fight was over. These weren't just physical defeats. They were the kind of moments that could unravel everything a fighter had spent years building. But the unpredictable nature of boxing doesn't just affect those inside the ropes. Outside the ring, in the dimly lit corners of backroom negotiations and whispered conversations, the impact of a single knockout can send shockwaves through an entire sport. Promoters scramble, plans change, and the very future of boxing's biggest names can hinge on the outcome of one perfectly timed punch. A champion once destined for greatness can find themselves an afterthought overnight, while an underdog with nothing to lose can suddenly hold all the power. It was this unseen side of boxing, the business, the politics, the hidden stakes that made George Foreman's knockout of Michael Moore all the more significant. Foreman's comeback wasn't just about proving he could still fight. It was about disrupting an entire generation of heavyweights who thought they had moved past him. When he landed that right hand, it didn't just put Moore down, it sent a message that experience, power, and patience could still rewrite history. And in the aftermath, a new question emerged. If Foreman could do the impossible, what else in boxing wasn't as certain as it seemed? As these knockouts continued to shape careers and rewrite expectations, another truth became impossible to ignore. For all the strategy, the preparation, and the years of training that went into a fight, sometimes it wasn't just skill that determined who walked away victorious. There was something else, something more unpredictable at play: timing, fate, perhaps even luck. Julian Jackson knew this better than anyone. His fight against Harold Graham was slipping away from him, and if that single right hand had landed a fraction of a second later, he might have lost that night. But it didn't. The timing was perfect, and because of that, Jackson's name lived on in highlight reels and history books, while Graham's title hopes were shattered in an instant. But for every moment of triumph, there was an equal and opposite moment of heartbreak. There were the fighters who had been one punch away from victory, only to be caught before they could finish the job. The ones who had dominated a fight for round after round, only to see everything slip away in a single moment of miscalculation. And then there were those who had never fully recovered, their once great potential undone by a single second of misjudgment. And yet, the biggest twist of all wasn't just the knockouts that had already happened, but the ones still waiting to unfold. Somewhere in the world, another fighter was training, another rivalry was brewing, another career was one fight away from being changed forever. The next great knockout could happen at any time, in any ring, to any fighter who stepped between the ropes. And when it did, history would once again be rewritten with a single devastating punch.